Hi class, welcome to this week's lesson, lesson 6. So this week we will be focusing on variables and using equations, specifically formulas. A lot of them have to do with like area, perimeter. You'll see words like surface area. I'm going to go ahead and link below a PDF file. I took this straight from the book, but it's about, I think it's like 4 pages long, and it's all the different equations that you'll probably be using in this week and then upcoming on tests. Just real basic equations. It's nothing you couldn't find by doing a quick Google search, but they are in the book. But I thought I'd just make a quick little file there. You can download that, keep that on your desktop, keep it close by when you're working on stuff this week. It'll help you out quite a bit. But I wanted to talk a little bit about formulas and equations in general. This is where some people start to get a little bit tripped up on math, and the reason why is because all of a sudden, instead of seeing numbers, you start seeing letters, right? And you see things like A equals 2 times X, or the side, or something like that, right? So area equals 2 times the sides, things like that, and a lot of people start getting tripped up because they're so used to seeing these numbers that when all of a sudden they start seeing letters, that like in your brain you keep them separate, right? Letters are for words, numbers are for math, and so all of a sudden when you see both of them, it's like, whoa, what's going on? So have no fear about this, okay? It's this week is a real basic introductory week. You're going to be given equations, and then you're going to be given some word problems that say like A equals this, P equals this, Y equals this, find this. You go, you find that equation, and you just plug in those numbers that you already know, okay? So you plug those in, and then it just becomes your basic math problem. Once you get those numbers, it's just that extra step of going from given this, find this. And it's hard, but yet I love this because it's also most applicable to life, right? This is where the class, I think, starts to get fun, because it does get a little bit challenging, but it also starts to apply a little more to everyday life in the way that you would use a math problem. No one's going to come up to you and say, hey, here's this times this, what's the answer, right? Someone's going to come up and maybe ask you a question like, maybe a kid or something like, right, like, hey, I want to buy 10 of these and they're $2 each. How many is that, right? And in your mind you're thinking, oh, well, the total would be, the cost times the quantity, right? Things like that. So as we go forward, hopefully now you'll start seeing different things that you can apply this to. Some of the formulas you'll see this week have to do with interest. Those are formulas you can use every day in your life for calculating, how much interest you'll pay on things like that. So hopefully you enjoy this week. The videos for learning the material are a little bit longer. There's 2 videos. I think one of them's like 26 minutes, the other one's like 30 something. So just like a little over 50 minutes in videos this week, which is a little bit longer than weeks past. But it is because that course material is getting a little more difficult. So please watch those. If you have questions about the material, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help out in any way I can. I can make little screencasts showing you different things. So don't hesitate to reach out to myself or the tutor. Okay, so that's the coursework for this week. There's not any projects this week, so you're not going to be doing anything in like Excel and turning that in. So it's just focusing on that and getting the exercises done. From there is some devotional that you'll want to go watch. I'll leave a link to that below as well. It's like the Pathway devotional. They want you to watch it before the gathering on Thursday. And if you are the lead student this week, I believe when you click on this link, it'll have like a section there. Like if you're a lead student, make sure that you spend like the first, I think, 10 or 15 minutes of the class talking about this devotional. So I'll leave a link to that below. Go watch the video there. Enjoy the devotional. And the last thing I kind of have for you this week is just a couple of reminders. One, to be reading that financial book that you chose. We're approaching the midway point of the semester. We're about 6 weeks out from when that assignment will be due, so make sure that you're well along in reading that book. If you haven't started it yet, definitely start it. If you have started it, awesome. Keep it up. You know, it's a great SMART goal. I know some people have been commenting on their reflections. I don't, what goals should I be making every single week? Like, this kind of gets hard after a while to make a goal. They don't have to be super intense goals like, oh, I'm going to go save $500 this week, or, oh, I'm going to, you know, finish all my work by Tuesday, or something like that, right? I mean, they can be simple goals. Your SMART goals can just be a simple, you know, this week I'm going to read 10 pages, 15 pages in my book, and I'm going to do it by Thursday. Boom, that's a SMART goal, right? It's it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant to the class, and it's time bound, right? So your SMART goals, kind of going on that on your reflections, they don't have to be super intense. They can be pretty simple goals. They don't need to be these huge goals. So just think about that as you do your reflection this week. The other thing I want to mention is your budget tracking. Make sure that you're keeping up on that. It's not due this week, but it is next week. So lesson 7, we will be turning in your budgets, and you should have been tracking that for the last month. So if you've kept up on it so far, awesome. Keep it up this week, keep it up next week, then the assignment's done, right? You just keep doing it, and then come at the end of next week, boom, turn that in, you're done. If you haven't been doing it, I highly recommend that you start now. Try and go back, get some of that data. Maybe you can look at bank statements, something like that. Put those into some sort of tracking. Show your budget on there. Show how you're doing compared to that budget. So that way, you know, next week you're ready to turn that in. So that's what I have for you. So as far as the coursework, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of just something I'm throwing in here, it has absolutely nothing to do with the coursework. So if all you came for is the coursework, you can end the video now. You can go study, you can go do that. I wanted to talk to you about change. This is something that's kind of been on my mind the last couple of weeks, and I thought, you know, I'm going to share this with my class. Change in my job that I do day to day at a manufacturing plant, that's what I'm really employed for, is to try and evoke change in the manufacturing plant. You know, we're driven to try and improve efficiencies, make things better, drive a lot of change, and sometimes that's really hard. Sometimes people don't want to change, right? But change can be good, and even though sometimes there's unknown in change, it's good to stretch yourself and try that change. And the reason why I've been thinking about this is because this past Monday, I made a fairly large change in my life, and that is that I actually changed my job. So I am now at a different company, and that was a huge ordeal because it affects my family lifestyle. Before, I was only working like 15, maybe 20 minutes from my house. Now I have at least an hour-long commute every day there, and then an hour back, so there's a lot more time away from home. And you know, it was one of those things that, it was one of those changes that it was for, you know, there was some unforeseeable, I don't know, idea. You know, we knew the job was a good job, and career-wise it was a good move, but we didn't really, you know, I didn't know how hard was it going to be on the family, how intense was the job going to be when I got there, type thing. So it was one of those changes that you know, I felt like this is the right move, let's do it. And to be honest, it's only week 1, and it's still a little scary. There's still part of me in my mind that thinks, you know, was this the right move? I was really comfortable. I was enjoying my other job. I liked the people I worked with. Not that I don't like the people I work with now. I'm getting to know them. They seem like great people. But there's, you know, there's that little bit of like in change where it makes you a little uncomfortable. And I think that's a good thing. I think it helps you stretch. I think it helps you maybe achieve something you didn't think you were able to. So I encourage you that as you're faced with different changes, whether it's in this class, right? Maybe you're having to change how you track your budget. Maybe you're changing your schedule, things like that. Don't be afraid to get a little uncomfortable. Go out of that comfort zone a little bit. Push yourself. You know, maybe this is the first time you're learning how to use a spreadsheet software, right? And in your mind, you're thinking, oh, do I really need this? You know, I've been fine for however many years without it. Do I really need this? Don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to push yourself and get a little uncomfortable. It's how you grow. It's how you learn. Now, maybe you push yourself and you go for that change, and not saying that, you know, like maybe you learn something and you go back to something else. That's the beauty of change and continually learning and improving, is that, you know, you learn and then you move on from that. So I encourage you all, as you go throughout the semester, even beyond this semester, look for opportunities in life that will help you change for the better, and don't be afraid of it. Try it out. You never know what will happen. And the way I always think of it is, you know, like as I took this new job, I thought, you know, if I go to this new job and in 6 months I hate it, there's other jobs out there. Maybe I can go find something else. But I would never know unless I tried. And so that's what kind of pushed me to do it, is I've got to try it. I've got to go for it. It's out of my comfort zone. It's a commute. It's with new people. It's in a whole different type of environment, very different from where I was before. But I'm trying it, and I'm going to learn, and so far I'm enjoying it. So I hope that maybe this inspired someone, but if not, oh well, it's just kind of my little rant. But I hope you have a great week, and let me know if you need any help. We'll talk to you soon.